it's necessary.
I think that, echoing what everyone's been saying, we're afraid of this taking over and this taking over and all these different things happening. I'm really afraid of these Western powers and these capitalist banks, like he mentioned earlier, taking over. And just to go off of what you just said, a way that we, as Americans, can do something about these American companies taking over these countries and this democracy. We can say something with what we buy and the things that we say to our Congress people here. Because what the policy that's made here is really what affects so much of the world out there in ways that we don't even understand, with McDonald's and all these other countries and Coca-Cola and all these different things that they're destroying the people and the land. And so I think the biggest thing that we can do as Americans is to watch what we're buying and where we are voting and saying, we're going to give you $15 to go over there and kill people, please. We like it, thank you. So I want to make sure that all of the solutions that we're throwing out there, we understand that we are one of the biggest solutions that we have and that the rest of the world has, because they're all looking at us, seeing what we do as Americans. So.
Yes, thank you. This is very, very important comment. It is happening. I don't know what we can do to stop it. You know, there are homes, like you close the door to evil and the evil comes through your window. You know, just it is impossible to control our kids. You know, maybe as adults, we have certain wisdom. We have gained certain wisdom not to do certain things, not to consume certain things, not to go certain places, not to support a certain system. But the kids are, now the media is like mesmerized the kids, the youth. You're talking about, you know, the mother, she wants to go cooking, she puts her baby in front of TV. The baby from it, I can't even speak yet, is in front of television because the mother is busy doing something. It's the TV is babysitter. TV, that mentality is raising our children. But by the time they're adult, they're basically, or by the time they're teenagers, they're basically assimilated into what the commercialism want them to believe, regardless of the politics. So how can you get away from it? I mean, even in the Middle East, you know, I left Egypt 2005. Part of it was to get my master's degree in I could have got my master's degree here, but I wanted to be in an Arab country, a Middle Eastern country, to have another perspective of other countries. And I wanted to feel what it's like to be in a Muslim country after having not been there for so many years. Two things I found. One is I found it completely a lot of differences between American culture and the Egyptian culture, in that their families are united together. They're very, very connected. They're very concerned about each other. The world is not about me, what I want to do, I'm going to do. This is my life, I will do whatever. It's not about life. It's about us as a family, what we want to do. What do you want to do? We will support you. If it's not right, let's talk about it. Like, right now I can say I have about 30 sons and daughters there. About 15 sons, I think, except one, all of them, their names are Muhammad. So when my son came, I said, this is Muhammad number 1, Muhammad number 2, Muhammad number 3. And the point is, wonderful people. On the other hand, the parents are complaining that the kids are starting to behave like Western kids. I said, what are they watching? Well, they're watching the TV and the sitcoms and everything else, but what do you expect? So it is infecting the society everywhere. I don't know what we can do to stop it.
That's our job as Americans.
Well, please do something about it. Yes. As a mother, what I did, I homeschooled my kids. I didn't have television. We had television sets. We could watch videos, whatever I could agree with. I did the best that I can to limit the exposure to what I thought was harmful. Well, my kids went to school as soon as they went to university. Everything went out the door, and they joined the secular society. So in front of God, I said I did my job, and the rest, I pray a lot, ask God to guide them. That's all I can do.
First of all, I want to acknowledge your point about the hypocrisy of supporting dictatorial regimes while complaining that there's no democracy in the Middle East. That's undeniably hypocritical. Here's the concern, though. Democracy isn't just about the freedom to vote, to hold an open election. Well, a lot of us at least believe that democracy also entails certain other supporting values: freedom of press, freedom of expression, secular government. And also these values generally are believed to have come out of the Western Enlightenment. They're not really native to Muslim cultures, as far as I can see. So the concern is, when they have a revolution, Americans hear, well, they just overthrew a dictator. Good, that sounds good. When we hear that the first thing they're going to do is elect the Muslim Brotherhood, that doesn't sound like secular government. That doesn't sound like freedom of religion is going to be, freedom of expression is going to be guaranteed. Could you address that?
Yes, basically, if this is going to be, in fact, turning out to be a democratic election, the people are the one that are going to be choosing. If the people want Muslim Brotherhood, who are any other country to say anything about it? This is what they want. Hamas was elected by Palestinians with a very, very high percentage vote. What happened? This was democratic election. What happened? They were basically demonized by the entire world as being whatever title they put on them. So it's like democracy, according to the West, has a lot of hooks on it. Democracy for the Middle Easterns has democracy. Okay, it's democracy as long as you do what we tell you to do. Here it has a different connotation. In Europe, maybe it's a little bit different. In really Muslim world, they really have not experienced the democracy as you have experienced here. They want to, their people are interested to taste it, to see what it's like to have freedom of press, different things. But the problem with that is people that came to power in the name of democracy turned it and made it into dictatorship. So people don't have the trust anymore. So I think it's a transition.
To do better, cover the Middle East in a more objective way, where we're learning more about what's actually happening on the ground?
Well, turn to Al Jazeera. You go english.aljazeera or aljazeera.net/English or english.aljazeera.net. But actually, it's not answering your question. What media can do is it's not the media itself. It's not the media organization. Let's say today you open a media organization, whether it's TV or newspaper or anything else. You are under hierarchy of several hierarchy of people that are above you. You cannot do what you think you want to do. You are told what you have to do. You're told what you're not supposed to do. So when we have this media conglomerates that are basically running the country, and certain things you are not supposed to do, certain things you are supposed to do, basically your editor has to stay within, this is freedom? Yes, I don't know. I don't know how that.
It seems to me that the Western governments, the United States included, had the government they wanted installed in Egypt before. Because Mubarak was a dictator, they didn't care because he worked alongside of them, supposedly maintaining security in the Middle East. So I don't think their intentions towards Egypt is going to change at all, because Egypt changed, the leadership that they have. So I mean, the pressure on Egypt is going to be the same. They're going to want to install a government that's pro whatever their demands are for it. So that's going to be the real challenge, it seems, for the people to separate themselves from what the Western governments actually want for the Egyptian people.
That's very, very important comment, because a lot of people have the same concern. The army was receiving, Egyptian army was receiving about $1.5 billion a year. So this army now is in communication with the United States. The people are concerned that this army may actually turn around to do exactly what Mubarak did. Of course, people are not going to put up with it, but nonetheless, it's not going to be so simple that Muslim Brotherhood is going to be nominated and they're going to leave them alone to do whatever they want to. The security of Israel is very important to the United States. And I'm not criticizing that. I think this is, they're strong allies, and it's understandable they want to make sure Israel is secure. But, this by itself creates hypocrisy, as we mentioned. Okay, we want you to be democratic, but it has to be under our condition. So it is going to be a very challenging road ahead. And I would say many Muslims are saying at this time, this is a golden opportunity for Israel to change its policies, to come forward and work with the Muslim world, because anything that is put forth that Israel agrees with later, they disagree, they basically kick it out. Anything like that is voted in United Nations, that it affects Israel's security, not security interest, U.S. vetoes it. I mean, nobody has any voice unless it's pro-Israel. So when U.S. is demonstrating themselves this way, and it has become very obvious, not just to the Muslim world, to the world in general, we now have, I don't know what you name this system anymore, but what the Arabs have done and what the Muslims have done, they're trying to break out of this hold like this, and hopefully something good comes out of it.
The name is stability. That's the code word. It's stability. We don't care if they're really democratic as long as they're stable.
One of the guys said that now in Muslim world we can stop seeing Osama bin Laden as a role model and start seeing the Egyptian people as role models. And I'd like to say I'm from Saudi Arabia, and I've been there most of my life, and I've been with Muslims all my life, and I've never seen anyone like who said that Osama bin Laden is his role model. So I was just thinking that that probably is one of the misconceptions he's getting from the media.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you. This again, it's not people's fault. It's basically what we are fed through the media. This is what we think.
Osama's our boy.
I mean, I wasn't specifically saying of Osama bin Laden's a role model. I think that there wasn't another option. That it was either you put up with the current thing or you're a terrorist. You either agree with Hamas,
I understand.
where now there's a third option.
I'm 21 years old. When on September 11th happened, September 11th, 2001, I was 12. I knew absolutely nothing about Islam at all, nothing. My entire perspective before I took it into my hands to go and learn something myself, and I took a college course learning about religions of the Middle East. Before I did that, my entire perspective was shaped by the media and the news. And I'm ashamed to admit that. I grew up in a place that didn't really have very much diversity, so there wasn't a whole lot to counter that perspective. And I'm ashamed to admit that, there were times when I saw people who were either were adorned and were obviously Muslim, and I felt my first emotion that I felt was fear. I'm ashamed to admit that I felt that way, but. I understand that the reasons for me feeling that way were because of a lot of misinformation, and it's really nobody's fault, especially in my age group, for having misconceptions and those leading to Islamophobia. And I feel like it's the responsibility of people who know better to actively work to debunk those misconceptions. Is that?
Yes, that's correct. And a lot of people, by the way, a lot of Muslims around the country are doing that.